Part 35. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 341. Chapter 341 The Lonely Artist. What the hell? What does it mean to win if you want to win, and lose if you want to lose? Didn't he just win with his own strength? Chu Sensio silently walked aside and drew circles, doubting, in his life. Xia Ying laughed, "Big turtle dove, you are not allowed to compare yourself with Yu Lingfeng by overestimating your abilities." Chu Sensio felt bitter in his heart, but he didn't say anything. Cousin Sakura is helping Yu Lingfeng, but that outsider is not helping him. This life is really unbearable. I'm just curious, so I asked 13 and Lingfeng to do an experiment together, Chu Shengming explained, because 13 said that Lingfeng had beaten Jun Chenai by 30 games of rock, paper, scissors, so I was a little curious. Watch today, come on, Lingfeng, you are really good. How do you judge your opponent's punches? Chu Shengming. Yu Lingfeng is so powerful, even though he is an old monster, you still don't believe it. Yu Lingfeng frowned, not knowing how to explain it well. It's hard to say, it's just an intuition, just knowing what he will do next second. This intuition is amazing. Chu Shengming silently took notes in a small notebook. Xia Ying secretly watched from the side and asked in confusion, 12 cousin, what are you remembering? I have recently been studying some special properties of human beings, and I think Lingfeng is a good research subject for me. Chu Shengming said. Yu Lingfeng frowned and did not answer. By the way, 12th cousin, I want to ask you a question. Xia Ying suddenly thought of something and said to Chu Shengming. Well, you say. Chu Shengming stopped writing and listened carefully to Xia Ying's words. If a person is very withdrawn and doesn't like to talk, and if you let him talk, he will lose his temper or even be in a bad mood. What kind of psychology is this? Autism. Also, he can communicate with people he knows well, but he doesn't communicate with ordinary people. Maybe it's because of his personality that he doesn't want to talk, Xia Ying said. As teacher Modzi said, Stefan can communicate normally, but only very rarely. In other words, he only communicates with certain people. Chu Shengming frowned. It's probably due to some psychological trauma suffered in childhood or due to congenital autism, which leads to social phobia now. The person you mentioned, does he have friends? Probably, there is no such thing. That should be it. Social phobia, any psychological trauma suffered in childhood. These words always feel so dazzling when placed on that angelic boy. Such a beautiful person, and such a talented little music prince, should not be a lonely artist. Cousin Sakura, who are you talking about? Chu Shengming was suddenly curious. There seemed to be no such person besides Xia Ying. Ch Shenxiu, who was doubting his life in the corner, silently raised his hands and said, I think I am about to suffer from social phobia. His 20 years of pride were destroyed by that 1,000-year-old monster Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying gave Chu Sensio a roll of her eyes and said, Big turtle dove, please don't add drama to yourself. Hearing this, Chu Sensio said aggrievedly, Cousin Xia Ying, why are you like this? You should comfort me, encourage me, and then support me to stand up. Chu Shengming on the side couldn't stand listening anymore. I said that a certain society is afraid. You talk too much. I suspect you are a showman. Please respect your character even if you lie, okay? Chu Sensio, is this called social fear? Chu Sensio. My own brother treats him like this. Thank you little cutie for the reward, a song of farewell, smiling at the prosperity of the world. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 342. Chapter 342 She is still a baby. When it was time for Yu Lingfeng to tutor Xia Ying in her studies, Chu Sensio was controlled by Chu Shengming and he was not allowed to go in and disturb the two of them from studying. 10. Lian, AI. Chu Sensio turned on the rampage mode in the living room. Thinking that Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng would spend 2 hours in the same room every day, Chu Sensio couldn't help but think about something in his mind. If this goes on for a long time, something will definitely happen. Chu Sensio felt that his cousin Xiao Ying might have been abducted by Yu Lingfeng. The look in her eyes at Yu Lingfeng showed that she had fallen. With Chu Sensio thinking this, he suddenly became excited and glanced at 11 Ju, who was quietly holding his cell phone and taking the opportunity to secretly read comics. Finally, the master is not around, so 11 Ju doesn't need to pretend, so he can read comics with confidence and boldness. But why was this Chu Sensio suddenly staring at him with such a scary look? Zihu thought so and swallowed silently. Hey, Zihu, I have a question for you. Chu Sensio sat down next to 11 Ju and stared at him. 11 Ju looked at Chu Sensio with a blank expression, and suddenly felt a bad feeling in his heart. What's the problem? Chu Shengming heard the sound and glanced at them silently. What is Chu Sensio doing? How old is Yu Lingfeng this year? Chu Sensio's inexplicable question made Chu Shengming frown. He seemed to know what Chu Sensio wanted to do. Zihu was stunned for a moment and did not answer. Chu Sensio repeated, "Tell me quickly, how old is Yu Lingfeng this year?" 10, 18. Zihu replied dully, "What's wrong?" Yu Lingfeng is only 18, Chu Sensio looked in disbelief. It's not that Yu Lingfeng looked older, although he looked just that old. However, Yu Lingfeng seems to be omniscient and omnipotent. Are you sure he is only 18 years old? Then how old was he when he invented you? Chu Sensio looked 11 Ju up and down. 18 years old. 11 Ju answered honestly. She is still a baby. Chu Sensio. Is this guy probably cheating? So scary. Chu Sensio then asked, has Yu Lingfeng been in love before? What is his current family situation? Zihu understood now that this guy was checking his household registration. Chu Shengming pinched his eyebrows and remained silent, just sighed secretly. Chu Sensio is planning to accept Yu Lingfeng as his future brother-in-law. So before accepting, do some research and then make a final decision? You should answer it. Chu Sensio became anxious when he saw 11 Ju's dazed expression and never answered him. Zihu spread his hands helplessly. Why should I tell you the master's privacy? Chu Sensio was very angry at 11 Ju's words. Why is this robot so wary? What about the most basic trust between humans and robots? Chu Sensio took a peek at the comics on 11 Ju's phone. What the hell? What are those two men doing? Kiss. Two men. Chu Sensio's face turned red, and he suddenly jumped up from the sofa when he discovered the appearance of the new world. He stared at 11 Ju with a perverted look. Oh my god. Why are you such a shameless robot? You are here every day. Watch movies on your phone. After hearing this, Chu Shengming coughed twice and was non-committal. Upon hearing this, 11 Ju blushed twice on his face, then quickly turned off the screen of his mobile phone, guarded it tightly, and said hesitantly, if you don't understand, just don't talk nonsense. This is a Denmei comic, nothing so strange. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 343. Chapter 343. Xia Ying is his first love. Denmei Comics? Chu Sensio said that his worldview has been refreshed. Is there another term for this? Chu Sensio glanced at 11 Ju with disgust. I can't tell that you, a robot, are so unruly. 11 Ju became anxious when he heard this and defended, no, you are overthinking, I didn't. Does Yu Lingfeng know that you are like this? When Zihu heard Chu Sensio mention Yu Lingfeng's name, he immediately became wary, fearing that Chu Shenxia would tell Yu Lingfeng. "No, please don't tell my master." 11 Ju pleaded. Chu Shenxia raised his eyebrows, as if he thought of something, then smiled and said, "Okay, if you don't want to tell me, I won't tell you. Then you answer my question. Ju: Why is he the one who gets tricked every time? Well, the master has no love history, Xia Ying is his first love. Zihu lowered his head, his face full of aggrievedness, and answered honestly. At this juncture, the only choice is to betray the master. If the master knew that he had not changed yet and was still secretly reading Denmei comics, he would be forced to reform him. Chu Shenxia looked at 11 Ju dubiously and said, "Really? He hasn't had an ambiguous girl before." "No." 11 Ju answered quickly. "Then when did he like my cousin Xiaoying, how much does he like her?" Chu Shenxia asked again. 11 Ju thought about it for a while, and then said seriously, "Let's put it this way, the master will only like Xiaoying in his whole life." "Hey, a lifetime is so long, and you're not Yu Lingfeng, how do you know?" Chu Shenxia disagreed. "This kind of love only exists in novels, okay? It's okay if you don't believe it, the master will spend his whole life proving it to you." Chu Shenxia saw 11 Ju looking so determined, and for a moment he felt a little persuaded by him. At this time, two people were taking tutoring. Xia Ying has been under a lot of pressure recently. She has to take care of her heavy studies, practice music, and take tutoring classes at night. So over time, Xia Ying became a little bit too much. While Yu Lingfeng was tutoring her, her eyelids became heavier and heavier, and she could only barely open them. Upon seeing this, Yu Lingfeng put down the book and said to Xia Ying, "Take a good rest when you are tired, and don't show off." "Don't want." Xia Ying shook her head, then opened her eyes vigorously several times, trying to wake herself up. "You'll get over it once you get through it. High school students are all like this," Xia Ying said. None of her classmates studied until 1 or 2 in the morning and then got up at 6 o'clock the next morning to continue studying. Everyone worked hard for the college entrance examination. If you don't work hard, you will fall behind. If you don't work hard, you will be surpassed. What's more, compared to them, Xia Ying is already lazy. At least she had gone to bed before 12 o'clock, and at that time, the top students were still burning the midnight oil. Xia Ying has always believed that the harder you work, the luckier you will be. Genius may be related to talent, but success may not necessarily be the case. Yu Lingfeng frowned and looked at Xia Ying with some distress. Xia Ying shook her head, then focused on the book, began to review the wrong questions in the past few days, and then do it again. Yu Lingfeng looked at Xia Ying quietly the whole time, calmly but as gentle as water. At this time, Yu Lingfeng's cell phone rang, a message from Rong Ci. "I haven't found any trace of her yet." Yu Lingfeng replied, "Then wait. It's just that I'm afraid that she has already appeared, but I just didn't notice it." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 344. Chapter 344. I slept for 3 hours. Counting the days, I haven't seen each other for 8 years. When we separated, we were both still children, but now we have grown into teenagers. 8 years is enough to change a person's appearance and appearance. Rong Ci doesn't know what that tough girl with stubborn eyes and never admit defeat will become in the end. When Xia Ying went to class the next day, everyone looked tired, even though they all said they went to bed early last night. But Xia Ying knows very well that this is a common trick of high school students. They are obviously studying more seriously than the other behind their backs, but no one is willing to admit it openly. Just like before the exam, the top student always said that he didn't review, but when the exam results came out, he ranked first in the school. Xia Ying had already seen through this, so when she heard those familiar voices, she just laughed it off and wouldn't take it seriously. Jun Chennai next to Xia Ying had already collapsed before going to class, lying on the table, looking like a walking corpse. Xia Ying patted Jun Chennai's desk and reminded him, "It's time to go to class." Jun Chennai reluctantly climbed up from the desk. His eyelids were half drooped and he couldn't lift them up. There were heavy dark circles under his eyes, causing his usually clear eyes to lose their brilliance at this moment. Xia Ying clicked her tongue and sighed, "How late did you sleep?" Jun Chennai grimaced and said feebly, "I only slept for 3 hours. Why did you go? Catch the announcement, forget it, it's hard to say anything." Jun Chennai said and lay down again. "I'm going to lie down for a while, just 5 minutes, remember to call me." Xia Ying looked at him sympathetically. Sure enough, being a star looks glorious on the surface, but behind the scenes, you have to put in a lot of heartache and hard work that ordinary people cannot imagine. Xia Ying was just like Jun Chennai in her previous life. She was so busy that she could only sleep 2 or 3 hours a day. During the busiest times, I even put on makeup while sleeping, which often makes me exhausted. But there is no other way, this is work. No matter how much fame you enjoy, how much effort you put in. Before class, Xia Ying woke up Jun Chennai. Jun Chennai seemed to be used to this feeling of catching up on sleep, even if he slept for 5 minutes. "I am also satisfied, and my spirit is much better than before." During recess, the girls behind Xia Ying were discussing Thornbird's new song. The Thornbird's new song Silence has already broken Jun Chennai's previous playback record and is still at the top of various charts. Silence has become a divine song of electronic music, and many people predict that this song may become a golden song of the year. And Thornbird will become the most popular singer of the year because of the 4 songs released this year. This singer, who became a first-line singer from the first song and is now popular all over the internet, has a large number of fans both online and in real life. Especially in the last press conference, although Xia Ying did not show her face, her temperament and figure were enough to arouse people's imagination. Because of this, there is even a very popular topic on the internet, which is to guess whether the true appearance of the Thornbird will be shocking. Jun Chennai listened to the discussion of the girls behind him, and suddenly thought of something, and said to Xia Ying, "By the way, you and Thornbird are good friends, you should have met her." Xia Ying was stunned by Jun Chennai's sudden question, and then nodded, "Ah, that's right. Thanks to the little cutie Wei Feng Ting you for the reward." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 345. Chapter 345, Are You a Thornbird? Can you introduce me to me? Jun Chennai looked at Xia Ying expectantly. Jun Chennai has always been very curious about the Thornbird. She is indeed a very talented person. Jun Chennai has always wanted to get to know her. Last time Thorny Bird publicly helped Xia Ying and Xiao Na become enemies at her fan meeting, which shows that the relationship between her and Xia Ying is indeed very unusual. Jun Chennai thought that maybe through Xia Ying, he might be able to get to know the Thornbird. No, Xia Ying refused, she is a very low-key person, so you'd better not disturb her. Jun Chennai stared at Xia Ying with half-squinted eyes, and said half-jokingly, "I said, are you the Thornbird?" Jun Chennai still remembers her voice on the day of the Thornbird's fan meeting, which was very, very similar to Xia Ying's. And Xia Ying didn't show up that day. It was such an important occasion. Since they were friends and it was a matter of helping her, why didn't she show up? Maybe Jun Chennai said this just as a joke at first, but when he finished speaking and thought about it for a while, he realized that it was not impossible. Xia Ying was stunned after hearing this, and then interrupted Jun Chennai's guess, "What are you talking about? I don't have the time. I still have to study and practice instruments, so how can I have time to open my second identity and write song composer?" Jun Chennai was indeed convinced after hearing Xia Ying's explanation. It's really impossible to think about it this way. Xia Ying is so busy and has been preparing for the San Diego music competition some time ago. She really doesn't have time to make thorn birds. I was just saying it for fun. Jun Chennai curled his lips, because I think you two are quite similar in terms of body shape, voice, etc. Xia Ying frowned. This guy's observation skills are really quite good. She had tried her best to disguise her appearance that day. As for her voice, although he deliberately lowered his voice and changed it a little, the essence of the voice could not be changed. Especially since Jun Chennai spent time with her day and night, it was indeed easy to tell. Xia Ying also has to thank herself for writing many popular songs in her previous life. Many of her songs in this life were directly modified and improved based on her previous life. Otherwise, to write so many popular songs in such a short period of time, while also composing music and lyrics, she is indeed not a genius to that extent. Maybe they are friends after being together for a long time, they gradually start to resemble each other. Xia Ying explained. Jun Chennai nodded without thinking deeply. There will be an annual song inventory at the end of the year. Currently on the list of the most popular singers, the male singer is Jun Chennai and the female singer is Thornbird. However, there is only one Singer of the Year title, so Jun Chennai and Thornbird must have a tough battle. Jun Chennai has been a steady traffic superstar for so many years since his debut. He always ranks first on the star power list. Many so-called movie queens and movie kings who have been in the entertainment industry for a long time do not have as many fans as him. Jun Chennai has always been filming movies and accepting commercials and endorsements. This year, when he first entered the music scene, his fans put him on the top list of male singers. Many veterans of the music scene can only be ranked second or third because of Jun Chennai's joining, which shows how powerful Jun Chennai's die-hard fans are. If the Singer of the Year is voted by netizens, then the Thornbirds will definitely not be comparable to Jun Chennai. The number of fans of Jun Chennai is really scary. However, the Singer of the Year is selected by an authoritative official, so Jun Chennai is a little confused. It would have been better if Thornbird hadn't released the song Silence some time ago, maybe he still had a glimmer of hope, but now, Jun Chennai himself has given up on himself. Thank you little cutie for the reward. Stay in the memories and look at the past. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 346. Chapter 346. Unwilling to give up. After school, Xia Ying was walking on the road and saw Mu Niankai and the others from a distance. Mu Niankai obviously saw Xia Ying, so she changed her original route and turned around to leave. Sun Han, who was beside Mu Niankai, pursed his lips and said nothing, but just followed Mu Niankai away. Mu Niankai sent the girl who stole things to the police station some time ago and guarded her for 15 days before being released. It is said that the girl has average grades and a very low-key personality. She is the kind of person who will hardly be discovered if she is thrown into a crowd. But who knew that such a seemingly transparent person was actually doing these things behind his back? Mu Niankai didn't care about how the girl was doing now. According to Sun Han, she was still in school in Guanyang. Just because of that incident, he was isolated and looked down upon. She had no friends in the first place, but now she was even more looked down upon. Sister Nian Chi, our people over there have followed Mr. Jun. Sun Han said excitedly. Mu Niankai was startled after hearing this, and said angrily, "What nonsense are you talking about? I don't call this stalking, I call it a surprise for him." Sun Han curled his lips and said weakly, "Oh, okay then. But it's obviously just tracking. After tracking, I will give you a happy message. The prerequisite is that you have to follow Muniankai continued, my brother Chennai has his birthday tomorrow. There will definitely be many people celebrating his birthday at that time. He has so many fans and so many friends. He will definitely not have time to talk to me by then, so I have no choice but to celebrate his birthday in advance. Muniankai sighed at the end, then took out a small mirror and looked at it again and again. Finally, she curled her lips with satisfaction and revealed a sweet smile. Sun Han's cell phone rang. After reading the message, he said to Muniankai, Sister Niankai, Mr. June has arrived at his destination and is preparing to shoot a promotional video. Sun Han sneaked into an illegitimate fan group of June Chennai. In that group, there was no omnipotent girl who knew June Chennai's whereabouts every day, and then followed June Chennai just to see and secretly photograph June Chennai. If he was lucky, maybe I can even get an autograph from June Chennai. Okay, let's go quickly. Muniankai said and quickened her pace. Has the scene been set up? Muniankai stopped, thought of something, and asked again. It's all set up. According to the schedule, it should be around 7 o'clock after Mr. June finishes filming. At that time, the lights will be turned off, and then the birthday song will be played. A super huge cake will be pushed over by Sister Niankai. Then I said happy birthday to Mr. June personally. At this time, Sister Niankai, the birthday greeting video for the whole class that you prepared in advance will also be played on the projector screen, Sun Han said, as if he already had the response in his mind. The picture was so beautiful that it made her girlish heart burst into laughter. If someone treated her like this, she would be moved to death. Muniankai listened to Sun Han's report and smiled with satisfaction, then got into the car and prepared to go to her destination. She didn't believe it. She had prepared a surprise for June Chennai so deliberately, but June Chennai would remain unmoved. She asked every classmate in the class, except Xia Ying, to record a special birthday blessing video for him. Although June Chennai usually doesn't have much communication with his classmates, after all, the blessings from his classmates are very loving, right? She has liked June Chennai for so long, confessed her love again and again, and was rejected again and again. But she just wasn't willing to give up. She just gave up. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 347. Chapter 347. He just wants to spend time with Xia Ying. Muniankai has grown up and has been liked by many people and has been confessed to by many people, but she only likes one June Chennai. She couldn't tell whether she was being stubborn or something else. He had never looked at her in the eyes, and he rejected her so cruelly every time, but she just couldn't control herself to like him. Perhaps love is so blind. Although Muniankai doesn't understand love, she understands how she likes June Chennai. Muniankai and Sun Han cautiously came to the place where June Chennai was filming the promotional video. Because they were afraid that too many people would cause unnecessary trouble, Muniankai only brought Sun Han with her, and she had already arranged people for the venue. As soon as June Chennai's promotional video is finished filming, Muniankai's people will turn off the lights and present a surprise to June Chennai. Muniankai and Sun Han tiptoed to the room where June Chennai was filming the promotional video. The two of them hid in the dark and watched June Chennai silently. June Chennai was wearing a sunny and healthy sportswear and was filming an advertisement and promotional video for a sportswear brand. In order to match the theme of sunshine, health, and upliftment, June Chennai specially dyed his hair black at one time. The black-haired June Chennai has become a lot younger. Unlike the Korean and idol style when he had chestnut hair, now June Chennai looks like the kind of school idol that many girls have a crush on. Muniankai and Sun Han both held their faces together, their eyes seemed to be shining as they stared at June Chennai. In Muniankai's eyes, June Chennai just shines. Young Master Jun's birthday is tomorrow, don't you really want to publicize it in a big way? At this time, The two people standing in front of Muniankai started chatting. Muniankai then realized that she was standing behind Jun Chennai's manager and assistant. Young Master Jun has already said that he should be low-key and low-key, although his name has its own glory, not to mention that it is such an important event as his birthday, and his fans will definitely publicize it, but personally, he just wants to spend it with Xia Ying. Muniankai stiffened when she heard this. Is he serious? The assistant frowned, a little confused. He wanted to complain about something, but he looked helpless. Of course the manager was also helpless. My little ancestor is in love, and no one can stop him. The question is, Xia Ying has never paid much attention to him. Will she celebrate his birthday with him? The assistant raised a very constructive question. The agent explained, so Mr. Jun is going to be a little careful. How to say? He plans to trick Xia Ying into coming out tomorrow night, and then ask her to spend his birthday with him. Everyone will be out at that time. No matter what Xia Ying does, she won't leave without leaving any feelings, right? What's more, they are still the same. The relationship is not so tense. The agent said. Well, Xia Ying is actually quite good, and she has been praised all over the internet recently. Even if they were secretly photographed, these two people will probably be blessed. The assistant analyzed lightly. Maybe. The agent said thoughtfully. After all, Jun Chennai's fans are so crazy. In their eyes, they wish Jun Chennai could be single for the rest of their lives so that they could have with them and be their imaginary boyfriend for the rest of their lives. Sun Han noticed that Muniankai's face was getting darker and darker beside him. Sun Han could even hear Muniankai's gnashing of teeth to express dissatisfaction and anger. Sun Han swallowed silently, wondering what Muniankai was thinking at this moment. The filming progress was very smooth. Jun Chennai had already reached the director's expected standards within just a few takes. Thanks to the little cutie Ying Nai Yu logo for the reward. Please give me a recommendation vote. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 348. Chapter 348. Chapter 354. I just want to be sad alone. Jun Chennai's shooting has finished and he is preparing to pack up and leave. Muniankai was standing by looking forward to the surprise she had prepared, but after waiting for several minutes, there was still no action. At this time, Jun Chennai and his assistants were already planning to leave. Muniankai was still surprised and was about to call and ask what was going on. At this time, Jun Chennai said, by the way, did the group of people who were caught doing some small tricks confess who sent them? Muniankai's hand holding out her cell phone froze in mid-air. It turned out that Jun Chennai had discovered it. How did that group of people do things? Fortunately, she paid them a large sum of money, and she managed such a small matter like this, and was discovered by someone? Muniankai was furious. Sun Han was too weak to speak. Alas, Sister Nian Chi was angry again. No, I just refused to say it anyway. I am giving you a surprise out of kindness, so there is no need for you to keep making things difficult for others. At this time a staff member said something. But Jun Chennai's assistant couldn't listen anymore and interrupted, what do you know? Since you can find it here, it means you must know the whereabouts of young Master Jun. If you know his whereabouts, then it must be something done by some illegitimate person. Those are pretending to be lovers, but they are actually doing things that harm celebrities, so if they are discovered, they will definitely be punished. Right. The agent added, not long ago, Qin Ye also said on Weibo that he was followed home by a fan. Fortunately, he found out in time, otherwise I really don't know what would have happened. All right. The staff was helpless and said, then let's push harder. Muniankai lowered her head and bit her lip, looking aggrieved, but she kept hiding in a dark corner without making a sound. Sun Han carefully patted Muniankai's back and comforted her in a low voice, Sister Niankai, don't be sad. You failed this time. There will be many opportunities in the future. Muniankai choked in a low voice, there is no chance. Didn't you hear what they just said? It's brother Chen Yi's birthday. He just wants to spend it with Xia Ying. After Muniankai finished speaking, she turned around and left. Sun Han followed Muniankai, wanting to comfort him but not knowing what to say. For people who are trapped by love, Sun Han is the last person to solve such emotional problems. Muniankai walked outside, and Sun Han followed her all the way. Muniankai sobbed softly as she walked, tears covering her face and blurring her vision. Muniankai suddenly stopped, then turned around and said to Sun Han behind her, Sun Han, don't follow me. I want to be alone for a while. Okay, Sister Niankai, please pay attention to your safety and remember to ask the driver to take you home early. Sun Han knew that Muniankai was arrogant, so he didn't want others to see him looking sad and lonely. She just wanted to digest the sadness alone, and she just wanted to hide her tears in a deserted corner and shed them alone. Sun Han finally separated from Muniankai. The more Muniankai thought about it, the sadder she became. She and Jun Chennai have been childhood sweethearts and have known each other since childhood. She admits that Xia Ying is excellent and a nice person. However, she is not bad, she is also trying to make herself better. Xia Ying doesn't like him at all. Jun Chennai clearly knows that Xia Ying likes Yu Lingfeng, but he is willing to be Xia Ying the spare tire, and didn't want to look back at her. Muniankai became more and more sad the more she thought about it, and finally dragged her tired body to a noisy bar. Thanks to the little cutie and Junli Sueo for the reward. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 349. Chapter 349 finally fell into my hands. Muniankai walked through the noisy crowd, walked through a group of men and women, walked to the bar, drooped her face, and started ordering drinks. Muniankai rarely comes to the bar to drink alone, and she rarely drinks. Except for drinking with a group of young girls who were hanging out in society, she usually doesn't drink. Because she doesn't drink much, she gets herself drunk easily. But at this moment, Muniankai just wanted to use alcohol to numb herself. All rational thoughts and ideas have been thrown away. Now she just wants to drink, so that she can temporarily forget the sadness and pain under the influence of alcohol. Muniankai's appearance is outstanding. In order to meet Jun Chennai today, she specially dressed up. Coupled with her youth, among a group of adults, Muniankai's unique girlish youthfulness and beauty attracted the attention of many boys. Little sister, are you drinking alone? A young man about 25 years old with a dignified appearance and a warm and charming smile came to strike up a conversation. The young man is covered in famous brands and his family seems to be in good condition. Muniankai's eyes were blurred, she rolled her eyes at the person angrily, and opened her mouth to curse, you wretched person, stay away from me. Muniankai rarely uses foul language. After all, she is a girl who grew up in a wealthy family. Except when she was with those little girls, she would sometimes be rebellious and use a few swear words. In other situations, she was quite a lady. Perhaps because I was drinking alone in the bar today. Although my mind is not clear anymore, I can at least remember something. He also knew how dangerous it would be for a girl to do this, and he also noticed the wolf-like eyes of the people around him. Therefore, she didn't have a good temper towards those who approached them, and would just scold them without any discussion. Would a normal adult put his hand towards her so that he could tell he was a student at a glance? Definitely not, so people who do this are probably some wretched uncles. The young man frowned angrily at Muniankai's words. He cursed a few words and left in a sensible manner. If it weren't for how pretty she looks, he wouldn't be interested in such underdeveloped Xiaolongbao. If you were really the kind of person who kept himself clean, you wouldn't come to a place like this alone. It's really funny. Mu Niankai was so drunk that she was dizzy. After scolding several wretched uncles, she started to pick up her cell phone and prepare to call her driver. Just as Mu Niankai took out her phone and clicked to dial, a sudden hand knocked her phone down. She wanted to bend down to pick up her phone, but someone grabbed her wrist violently. Mu Niankai was so drunk that she couldn't see clearly who was standing in front of her. I only saw a hazy double image, which seemed to be a girl dressed maturely. "Oh, Mu Niankai, this is retribution. You treated me so badly before, and you finally fell into my hands." The girl snorted coldly, and after saying this, she forcefully pulled Mu Niankai off the high chair. "Who are you? What are you doing? Let me go. Do you know who I am? Let me go." Although Mu Niankai was drunk, she still had a bad temper and cursed along the way. The girl kept pulling Mu Niankai hard, and there were a group of boys beside the girl who stared at Mu Niankai eagerly. The girl pulled Mu Niankai to her box and pushed her towards the group of boys. She smiled and said to them, "The daughter of the Mu family is still a young child, so she can play with her as she pleases. Thanks to the little cutie, heart is half a collapsed world for the reward." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 350. Chapter 350. She hates Mu Niankai. Oh, this little girl is really cool. How come the eldest daughter of the Mu family comes to the bar to drink alone? This little girl is so pretty, tisk tisk tisk. Let me go, I'm Mu Niankai, don't touch me, or I'll chop off your dog's paws. Mu Niankai drunkenly shouted to the group of men. The girl in front of Mu Niankai crossed her arms, looked at her with dark eyes and smiled, and then said to the group of men, "Damn, are you guys? Are you afraid to touch me or something?" The girl saw that the men in the group seemed to have no intention of touching Mu Niankai, so she yelled very displeased. "No, this is the daughter of the Mu family. If we bully her, what should we do if the Mu family makes trouble for us in the future?" One of the boys said. The girl sneered coldly, "How come I didn't know when you became so law-abiding?" As soon as he finished saying this, one of the boys with a blue dragon tattoo on his hand directly touched Mu Niankai's thigh. Mu Niankai felt the sudden touch and trembled in shock, then stood up with a curse, don't touch me, pervert." Mu Niankai was drunk and felt that her body was very heavy. She wanted to hit the man, but just as she raised her hand, it sank again. Because of the boy's initiative, everyone else started to move around Mu Niankai's body to eat tofu. Mu Niankai has been pampered since she was a child, and her skin is as white and tender as if she could squeeze out water. What are you so worried about? This little girl is drunk. What will she remember tomorrow? Even if she knows she is being bullied, she doesn't know who the target is. Haha, that makes sense. Hey, this girl's skin is not so good. The girl looked at Mu Niankai being groped around by a group of boys, and felt inexplicably relieved. If Mu Niankai hadn't called the police and she was caught, the whole school would have known that she was a thief. Because of this incident, she was given a demerit by the school, and was looked at with colored glasses by all the teachers and students in the school. Although her family is poor, they are very ambitious. After knowing what she did, she was beaten badly by her parents. She had no friends and was as invisible as a shadow. But now, she has become a street rat in school, everyone looks at her like they are a monster. She can hardly stay in school anymore. So, she degenerated and started hanging out with gangsters. Do bad things with them, extort money with them, do all sorts of evil things. Since that incident, she has been classified as a bad person by her classmates, so she simply gave up on herself and became a complete bad person. She hated Muniankai, and if she hadn't done so decisively, her life would not have ended like this. Muniankai was so disgusted that she had goosebumps all over her body as she listened to the filthy words around her. However, she was controlled by those people and could not use her strength, like a piece of fish waiting to be slaughtered on a chopping board. At this time, a boy tried to put his hand through Muniankai's collar. Muniankai lowered her head and bit the boy's wrist. The boy then let out a cry of pain. When one of the boys saw this, he immediately grabbed Muniankai and let go of the boy. Muniankai suddenly felt sick in her stomach, and then turned sideways and vomited all on the group of boys. End of this chapter.